Yes, you have. He then looks at her and says, great, can I have my money now? This man decided he wanted to get paid his winnings right there, mid-flight. The flight attendant looks at him and says, I'm sorry, sir, I can't pay you for 2 reasons. Number 1, this lottery ticket is run by another company. When we land, you take it to their office, they'll verify it and cut you a check. Number 2, this is an airplane. Now this bit of obvious logic eludes the man, so he starts to argue, demanding to be paid. The flight attendant can't do nothing but keep telling him, I'm sorry, sir, we can't pay you. Until he gets so angry that to demonstrate just how frustrated he is, he takes the lottery ticket and eats it. Let me repeat that for those who may have missed it. He ate a $13,000 winning lottery ticket. It's stories like these that make me fear for the future of humanity. And I know what some of you are thinking right now, well, did he still try to redeem it? Don't think too hard. True story, and the lottery ticket actually, what the company actually did is they donated that $13,000 to charity. They didn't reward him for his stupidity, but they still gave the money. You can look up Ryanair lottery ticket. It's a true story. But here's a story of a guy who in one moment made a stupid decision that ended up costing him $13,000. Now I look around the room and I've chatted with quite a few of you this morning. I think it's safe to say that no one here would eat a winning lottery ticket. And don't point at someone sitting next to you. However, we all have those moments where because we're angry, stressed, afraid, or just not thinking, we do or say something less than optimal that makes our lives more complicated than it has to be. Which is interesting when you think about it because our lives are nothing but a series of moments. If we make good decisions in those moments, life gets easier and more successful. If we make bad decisions, life gets more complicated and more of a headache. So this is what I do, is I go and I speak to groups and organizations about how to make better decisions reflexively in the moment that make things easier. I have a unique approach, as you heard Doug say. I'm the world's only motivational improviser, which means I'm like a motivational speaker, but I use improv comedy exercises and ideas to make my points. To explain what that all means, I want to start things off by demonstrating improv for you so we're all on the same page. I'm going to play an improv game. It's a game I play solo, but I will need a volunteer to help me with something very simple. Now relax, I know what happens. The speaker gets in front of the room and uses a word like volunteer. And immediately, everyone gets real interested in their shoes. Like, don't make eye contact with him. Don't worry, I never do forced volunteerism, so I'm never going to look at you and be like, you be my volunteer. So those of you who sat right in the front, you don't have to regret that decision. Let me explain what I'm going to do, and then I'll get my volunteer. I'm going to take this bell, and if you're my volunteer, I'm going to have you come up, and I'm going to hand you this bell. Then I'm going to begin telling you all a story that I make up here on the spot. If you have the bell anytime you want, you can ring it. When you do, I have to stop, go back, repeat what I said, but change it to something different. So for example, if my story begins, once upon a time there was a girl with a pet dog. Once upon a time there was a girl with a pet cat, with a pet mouse, with a pet llama, whatever. Whenever you ring, I change. When you stop ringing, I keep going, but only as if that last thing was said. So in this example, the dog, the cat, and the mouse would be gone. We'd be left with a story about a girl and her pet llama. That's all there is to it. You don't have to improvise. You don't even really have to speak. So can I get a volunteer who'd like to torture me just a little bit by being my bell ringer? All right, and was it Suzanne? All right, let's give Suzanne a big round of applause. All right, so first order of business, take that. Now, first thing is, why don't you go ahead and give it a test ring? Very nice. You'd be surprised how many people mess that up. Okay, I see what kind of day this is going to be already. So Suzanne, I'm going to work on the assumption you have not done this before. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. However, there's a rhythm or a frequency that makes it more or less entertaining. So if I want you to ring more frequently, I'll give you the let's go faster signal. If I want you to ring less frequently, I'll give you the let's get off the caffeine signal. Okay? I will say if you're uncertain, err on the side of ringing more often, because that makes it more entertaining. And feel free to ring multiple times on the same line like I did in my example with the girl and her pet. Okay, other than that, just enjoy yourself and have fun. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a man whose favorite thing to do was to barbecue. And his favorite thing to do was to go camping in the woods. And one day he went out deep into the woods. He went so far that he got lost. And he was looking around for where to find. He just decided to hunker down and live there because he's like, I'm never going to get home anyway, so I'm lost. I may as well make a cabin here. So he started chopping down trees to build a house. And you can go a little bit more frequently. He started digging a big hole because he's like, I'm just going to live inside of this hole. And he said, I am just going to dig a hole because I can go to the bathroom and I don't want to ruin my house. Well, he was down there. He said, I'm going to dig a hole because I'm going to dig all the way through to China because I believe the economy there is getting better than it is here. So he started digging as deep as he possibly could when all of a sudden he heard a voice from above him. All of a sudden he hit someone in the head, and he looked down and there was a person already in the earth. He looked down and there was a dog just sitting under the ground, and the dog looks up at him and says, excuse me, sir, why are you here bothering me? And the man said, well, first off, this is weird because you're a talking dog. He said, first off, this is weird because I thought my drugs would have worn off by now. But the second thing is, why is a dog? What are you doing down here, dog? And the dog looked at him and says, well, I wanted to escape society because I was very lonely. The dog said, I was trying to get away from an angry cat. And the only way I could hide was to go deep down into the earth. And the man looked at him and said, okay, dog, I tell you what, I don't have any friends either, so why don't we be buddies together? The man looked at him and said, well, tell you what, dog, I'm very hungry and you look like meat. Okay, I'm going to stop right there, see where that goes. Let's give Suzanne a hand. Thank you very much. That was super. Thank you. So that is an example of improv comedy. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, okay, that's amusing, it's quick thinking, but what on earth, what relevance does that have to me, my life, my business, my job as a CEO, president, or executive? Well, if so, I want you to think about one thing. That life isn't scripted. No matter how much we want it to be with our plans and our agendas and our 5-year strategic plan and our to-do list, our productivity apps, life is the ultimate improvisation. We're all just making it up as we go along. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, the universe comes along and goes, ding, now deal with this. Which is, or as I like to say, the thing is that sometimes ding happens. And what I found is that while planning is important, it's very useful to have your strategy, have your productivity apps, have your to-do lists, what ultimately separates people who succeed and get ahead from those who constantly struggle is not necessarily how well they plan, but how quickly and effectively they react and deal with those ding moments in life when they occur, because they will, right? We are in a world of constant change. Technology is the most obvious one. I was just talking with someone about this earlier. It used to be technology would change over time. Now things are changing constantly. There's always a new system you have to install, a new better way of doing things. There's a new space you need to enter, right? First it was a website, then it was a mobile website, right? Then it was, good God, MySpace and Facebook, and now Pinterest. Now there's like Instagram. And it's not like you can leave the old stuff behind. So you learn something new, you're doing more. We're constantly doing more and more. Beyond technology, technology for many of you also changes customer expectations, right? You used to be the expert. Someone come to you, ask your advice, you walk them through the process, say, here's what I suggest. Now they show up at the client meeting or your initial meeting with a printout of Google Docs. Things they research on the internet saying, well, here's what I want. It completely changes how we interact with customers. If we try and do business the old way, we're going to be left behind. Beyond technology, just the world around us, the economy, the political landscape, legislation, organizations, your industry. Things are constantly changing. We're playing catch up all the time. Ironically, with all this change going on around us, the one thing that can start to feel stale is ourselves. Right? We're so busy keeping up with everything going on, we sometimes lose time and opportunity for our own personal growth to push ourselves to the next level. So we live in a world of constant change. What I'm here to talk about is how the same skills that let a performer play a ridiculous game like Ding can help you be more effective, react to those unexpected moments, and do what I call improvise, adapt, and innovate. So we're going to talk about a couple of key ideas from the world of improv comedy that can help you directly. So we're going to have some fun, but we'll talk about application as well. Along the way, I'm going to do a couple more improv games. I might need some more volunteers. And I may even have you guys do a couple simple little exercises just at your table. Relax, they'll be very easy. And I'll explain them when we get to them. Before I get off and running into the first point, I want to turn your attention to the cards I put out on the table. They say help on them. For one of the exercises I'm going to do at the end, I'm going to need your assistance. If you could take a moment and write down a sentence on that side of the card. It could be anything. It could be a random sentence. It could be a movie quote, a song lyric, a famous saying, just a random sentence you like. You don't need to do it right this moment. I'm going to collect those towards the end of the presentation. But anytime between now and the end, if you could write down a sentence, that would help me out a lot. The flip side of that card is a sign-up form. If you're interested in more information, you can fill that out. That's optional. But I would love to collect that card with a sentence from you in just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to share two powerful ideas. The first one is really what sounds like an obvious but is the most often overlooked key to quick thinking and improvisation. And that is something I call adopting the improviser's mindset. Adopting the improviser's mindset. What I found, I ran an improv group for 7 years in Philadelphia, and we had auditions every year to take on new members. What I found is there's only one thing that delineated the people who got really good from those who just were okay. And in the beginning, I thought it was skill and experience. We had auditions. I was looking for how much skill a person had, because I figured if they were good, they knew stuff that's that much less I needed to teach them, that's that much faster they could get better. Turned out that was completely wrong. The only thing that separated those who got better from those who plateaued was the mindset they had on day one. If someone came in, we had people come in with no improv experience and even no performing experience, but they had the right mindset. They got really good really fast and continued to get better and better. On the flip side, we had people come in who had done improv before, they had skill, and I would take them. But their mindset wasn't in the right place. They weren't like jerks or anything, they just had some limitations. And what I found is that they often never got much better than they were on the day of the audition. Which is sad, because some of these people were in the group for like 2, 3, or 4 years. So the mindset was the key. And it's easier to teach someone a new skill than it is to change their mindset. So what is that mindset? I could sum up the improviser's mindset with 3 F's. 3 words all that start with F. Fun, failure, and focus. In an expanded form, to have fun, to be willing to fail, and to focus on what you can control. I found that if I could get a person coming in, if they had those 3 F's, they would get really good. Once in a while, I was able to take someone who we had taken in the group and get them to adopt these 3 F's, and the difference in their performance was amazing. So if we look at the first 2, have fun, be willing to fail, these are obvious things for improv comedy, right? It's improv comedy, it's supposed to be fun, but I see people take it so seriously they don't enjoy themselves, which means the audience doesn't enjoy themselves. And being willing to fail, improv is wrought with the possibility of failure. I have no idea when the bell's going to ring. I have no idea what direction the story is going to go, how the audience is going to react. So failure is a real possibility. The performer who's constantly afraid of messing up and not pleasing the audience cuts themselves off from creativity and does worse than anyone else. Now I could go on and on talking about these 2, but what I'd rather do is demonstrate the power of these with an improv game. I'm going to need another volunteer. This time I'm going to need 2. You're going to have to do a little bit of improv, but you'll have a partner up here so you won't be left alone. So can I get 2 volunteers who are willing to help me with this improv exercise? Well, you can't volunteer other people, sir, but you can come on up. Yeah, I know. You know, there are some people who when you volunteer someone else, they'll take you. So you want to come up? Okay, and so let's give Rick a hand. Rick. And your name again was? David, right? Okay, let's give David a hand. And let me just give you that just to make sure everyone can hear you clear. So David, since you volunteered first, I'll let you go up here. And Rick, yeah, you can just kind of hang back for a second. And let's just take half a step back so the people behind you can see.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so now that you 2 are up here, let me just let you know that this is the most challenging thing I ask volunteers to do. So now that you're committed beyond the point of no return, here's what you're going to do. David, you and I are going to begin. We're going to have a conversation. However, there will be 1 letter of the alphabet that we are not allowed to use in any word we say. Cannot be at the beginning, can't be in the middle, can't be at the end. If one of us uses a word that has that letter, I'll ring the bell. That person will hop out. Rick will come in and take their place.
Can I pick Z?
Well, we'll see when we get to that point. Then Rick will come in and the conversation will continue, again, not being able to use that letter. The next time someone makes a mistake, that person jumps out. Whoever was out comes in. So we just kind of keep switching in and out as mistakes are made. Now, that's the basic rule, but I've done this game for a long time, so I know how people like to try to cheat. So if you use a word that has that letter, we ring the bell. If you talk too slow and think too long, we'll ring the bell. If you try to speak in really short, like 3-word sentences, we'll ring the bell, so try to talk in full sentences like a normal person. If you end up using grammar that makes you sound like a caveman, we'll ring the bell. And finally, if you try to slip in a foreign language word to get around using the letter, we'll ring the bell. Other than that, it's very easy. Okay? Now, before we get off and running with this, let me remind you the point of this exercise. It is not to embarrass you. It's not to make you struggle or make you look foolish. It is simply to demonstrate the power of the improviser's mindset. This is a tough game. I want you to focus on just 2 things. Number 1, have fun. It's the middle of a work day. You're getting to play improv comedy. Enjoy it. Right? No one's expecting you to do well because it's a tough game. So the more fun you have, even if you make a mistake, the better it's going to be. If you struggle and strain and take it too seriously, you'll be miserable and no one will have fun. Second, be willing to fail. You're going to try not to say the letter, but don't obsess over it. If you accidentally use a word that has that letter, it's fine. It's the nature with which you fail that's going to determine whether or not people enjoy it. So take chances, be willing to make mistakes. Just focus on those two things. Have fun, be willing to fail. Okay? So to begin, let's get a location where two people might have a conversation. What is a place you wish you could go to more often? The bar. All right. I seldom have that problem. So we're going to have a conversation in a bar, and we are not allowed to use the letter S in any word we say. No S's at a bar. David, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Hello, David. What would you like to drink today?
Martini. Vodka martini, please.
Please. All right, so Rick, you're going to come in and take his place. Would you like a lime in your martini?
Yes.
All right. So
I suck at this game.
That's good. Just have fun and be willing to make mistakes. How about a bite to eat? Can I get you an item from the kitchen?
No. Well, longer. I just say before I...
Just. What were you about to tell me?
Well, I am here thinking in a manner in which I question.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're about to have karaoke. You might want to pick out a little ditty to play when we kick up the machine.
I can't carry a tune. That's...
All right, let's give these two guys a hand. Very nice job. Thank you, David, for helping out. Thank you, Rick. I'll take that. All right, very tough game, right? Let's just move this here. I mean, some of you are probably trying to play along, and it's like, wow, that's hard. It is hard. But would you say that David and Rick played the game in a way that was fun and entertaining for everyone to watch? Yeah, did you guys enjoy that? Yes? Yeah, absolutely. Not easy to do. Now here's the thing. Two guys, no improv experience, one note. Have fun, be willing to fail. Just enjoy the process. And they're able to play a tough improv game in a way that was entertaining for people to watch. Now I've done that same exercise with trained improvisers. Sometimes I'll go to new workshops for groups. And I work with people with years of experience, but maybe they haven't played this game. And maybe they haven't adopted the right mindset. And I promise you, some of them play that game much worse than David and Rick did. They struggle, they get frustrated because they don't have the right mindset. I literally did this game a couple of months ago, and one of the performers got so frustrated at it that he came out and started intentionally. What's that?
He had a lottery ticket.
He had a lottery ticket, yes, exactly. You know. Same guy. No, he got so frustrated that he intentionally would say the letter. He'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to have a soda. Ha! Like, really? This is where you're drawing your line in the sand over an improv game? It's mindset. Mindset frees up the creativity. It frees up the playfulness. It's where solutions come from. This isn't just a power of positive thinking type, oh, if you feel good, good things will happen. It's that when we tap into that fun playfulness, we get more creative, which is what we need to do with the unexpected to come up with new ideas. And when we're willing to fail, we take action. It's not to say failure is okay. It's not. Failure has consequences. It's just realizing that the more we are afraid of failure, the more tight we get, the more paralyzed we are. The great achievers are the ones who take action in the face of that possibility of failure. And we're talking about ding moments, right? So it doesn't mean you don't, when you have a lot of time, it doesn't mean you don't get your ducks in a row. But when you need to react quickly, you cannot, there's no guarantee of success. You just need to take that first step. So those are the first two F's. Have fun, be willing to fail. When we tie in the third F, to focus on what you can control, is when the full mindset kicks in. In improv, as in life, there are so many things out of our control. The best improvisers realize the only thing they should focus on is what they can control, which is their reaction to those unexpected events, as opposed to obsessing over everything else. To demonstrate this, I'm going to do another improv game. I don't need a volunteer, because this is a game I'm going to have you play. Remember I mentioned I'm going to have you guys do a couple simple exercises? This is a very simple one. Here's what you're going to do. First order of business is just turn and partner up with someone at your table. If you have an odd number at the table, you can do this with 3, but no more than 3 people. So ideally 2, but if you have an odd number, you can do 3. Say hello if you haven't yet. Introduce yourself.
Everybody.
All right, here's what you're going to do. You and your partner or partners are going to work together to tell a story, each of you contributing 2 words at a time. So you might start with once upon a time. There was a woman who lived blah, 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 blah. Just go back and forth. It doesn't matter. Just 2 words at a time. Now, a couple quick rules. Number one, I want you to go as fast as possible. So it shouldn't be once upon a time. Like I want to be once upon a time. Go as fast as you can. Number two, the rule is try to say 2 words. However, if your partner stops at 1 word or lets 3 or 4 words come out, don't stop and make them wrong. Right? Like, that's not how we play this game. Just go with the flow. Try to stick to 2, but go with the flow no matter what happens. Again, remember why you're doing this. It's not to be funny. It's not to be clever. It's not to practice improv. It's to practice the mindset. Have fun. Enjoy yourself while you do this. Just no one's watching you, so enjoy it. Number 2, be willing to fail. No one's watching you. If your story's horrible, you're the only one who's going to know. Number 2 is if the story goes off the rails, like you're going so fast that it stops making sense, just throw it away and start a new one. You don't have to struggle. And finally, focus on what you can control. Some of you are going to find you have an idea for the story formulating, and your partner's probably not going to say the 2 words you need them to. If you are able to just focus on your response, you'll be able to flow. If you get fixed in your own path of thinking, you won't be able to flow. So just for about 30 seconds, tell a very fast 2-word story with your partner, and go. Okay, good. Give yourselves a hand for playing along. Thank you. All right. So I love this game because it's so simple. But to me, this is how life works, right? You go out and you take your action, and you have a hope and an expectation for how things will work out, right? You put in your application, put in a proposal, you have a client meeting, you take a new job, whatever it is. And so often what comes back is not what we expected. The key to that, when ding happens, how do we flow, is, how was your experience? Did you have the experience where you had an idea where you wanted the story to go and your partner said the 2 words, like every time they kind of stayed aligned with you, and you guys told the same story you had both intended to tell?
Yes.
Okay, well, one person, you've met your soulmate, enjoy. But no, by design, the game is set up so that you say 2 words, and the question is, how did you respond and how quickly did you respond? Right? People are new at this, people are a little more fixed in their thinking, 2 unexpected words come back and they freeze. And then what happens is they'll do one of 2 things. Right? They'll either just kind of get totally stopped up, or they'll spend their time still trying to drag the story into the direction they wanted it to go. Like if you had a boy and a girl in your story and you really saw them going to the prom, but your partner just wasn't doing it, you keep trying to get it there, like went to, rented a, bought a corsage and went to the prom. Like you just keep trying to drag the story. Now, what that does is that's fixed path thinking. That is not adaptability. It's not improvisation, right? That's you saying, here's what I want to do and you need to go along with me, which is what some people think of teamwork. The collaborative aspect of this, of going with the flow, is when something happens, we let go of our original plan. And we make an adjustment and we move in a new direction. If we were able to do this game quickly and tell a story that was probably something completely unexpected, that's good. Because that's innovation. If you're telling a story that you expected, you're not being creative. You're coming from the realm of what you already know. So it's by letting go and adjusting to the circumstance that we increase our ability to deal with change and be more innovative. So when we combine those 3 things, it's when our ability to think quickly and react to the unexpected. It sounds overly simplistic, but it's the differentiator between people who improvise well from those who don't, on stage or off. Have fun, be willing to fail, focus on what you can control. So that's kind of the first piece, the underlying foundation is that mindset. In the time we have left, I want to share with you one simple but incredibly powerful idea from the world of improv that really has wide-ranging effects. If you take an improv class, it's one of the first things you learn. And it is that great improvisers say yes and instead of yes but. In every moment, ding or otherwise, you have the choice of saying yes and or yes but. Great improvisers say yes and. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I want to do an improv game to demonstrate what I mean by this. I'll need a volunteer to come up to help me with this game. Now, I know after the last one, many of you don't trust me. I'm not going to have you come up and do something incredibly difficult. I promise you this game is going to be a lot easier than you can use all the letters of the alphabet. We're just going to have a simple conversation. So can I get a volunteer? And I think this is going to be my last volunteer game. So for those who've been sitting back waiting for your opportunity to volunteer, this is it. So can I get a volunteer to help me with one more improv exercise? Are you just scratching your ear or you volunteer? Okay, excellent. And is it Barry? Barry, let's give Barry a big round of applause. Here you go, Barry. I'm going to hand you that microphone. So Barry, here's what we're going to do. Let's just say we're coworkers. We're going to have a conversation. Let's say we're coworkers. We're going to grab a bite to eat somewhere. You make a suggestion about where we should go. After that, every sentence is going to start with yes, but. So you'll say, let's go this place. I'll say yes, but. Fill in my sentence. You'll say yes, but. Fill in your sentence. And we just go back and forth. After about 30 seconds or so, we'll stop, redo the conversation, replacing yes, but with yes, and to see how that changes the direction. So the first one is just yes, but. So why don't you make a suggestion about where we should go eat?
Let's go to the prime rib.
Yes, but the prime rib is pretty expensive, and I'm trying to save some money. I'd rather go somewhere cheaper.
Let's go to McDonald's.
So say yes, but.
Yes, but.
So yes, but the prime rib is expensive. I want to go cheaper.
Yes, but. Let's go to McDonald's.
Yes, but McDonald's is really unhealthy. In addition to saving money, I'm trying to lose weight.
Yes, but let's go to Wendy's.
Yes, but Wendy's is really no better than McDonald's, so I'd rather go like a place and get healthy and cheap.
Yes, but let's go to the grocery.
All right, well, I think I see where this is going, so that's where the yes, but is leading. Now we're going to redo that conversation. I want you to make the same suggestion about prime rib, only this time everything's going to start with yes and instead of yes, but. I can put that in. Everything will start with yes and instead of yes, but. We'll see where that changes the conversation.
Okay, I start?
Yeah, with the prime rib suggestion again.
Let's go to the prime rib.
Yes, and if we go at lunch, we can get some of the smaller portions, which are both healthier and cheaper.
Yes, and that would be better.
Yes, and since we'll be having a nice lunch, that means we can skip dinner and maybe go to the gym after work.
Yes, and let's not.
All right, let's give Barry a hand there. Very nice. Thank you very much, Barry. Now, Barry, for volunteering to play my yes and game, I'm going to give you a copy of my book,
Awesome.
Say Yes and. Thank you very much for participating. Now, for my other volunteers who help me out today, you're sitting there wondering, well, where's my book? Come see me afterwards. I will give you a book as well. I just give my books out at the end because I want people who want to come up and play improv to volunteer, not just people looking for a free book. So for the rest of you, I have a few copies for sale. If you're interested, you can come see me afterwards. All right, so that's an example of a yes but versus yes and mindset. Now, you could probably get an idea of the difference from watching it. However, this game, more than any other, has a visceral feel that goes along with playing it. So one more time, I'm going to have you play this improv game, similar to what you did with the two-word story. You're going to go back with your partner. You're going to have a conversation. Just like Barry and I did the first time through, everything's going to start with yes, but. I'm going to give you a different topic of conversation, however. Let's say you have a mutual friend, and you're planning a surprise birthday party for him or her. The first time through, one person makes a suggestion. Everything starts with yes, but. And you can talk about whatever, who to invite, where to have it, what kind of food, whatever. I'll let you go for a bit, then I'll tell you when to stop and redo that conversation, only this time using yes and instead of yes, but. So you can feel the difference, how it feels to play the two, how to say the two. Okay? So first, turn back to your partners. So whenever you're ready, start planning your party with yes, but. Start planning your surprise party, and go.
Too bad. We're going there. Yes, but pass.
Okay, good. Now, what you're going to do, redo the conversation just like Barry and I did. Start with the same first suggestion. This time have everything start with yes and see how that changes and redirects the flow. Okay? And go. Okay, good. Give yourselves a hand for playing along. Thank you. All right, so how did that feel? How did yes, but feel? Negative, like a fight. You probably made no progress, or you probably never got past the first suggestion, right? It was just like argue, argue, argue. How did yes and feel? Open, positive, progressive, encouraging, like we're moving things forward. You probably made a lot more progress in your planning, right? It's like, let's have the party, yes and, on a cruise, yes and, to Hawaii, yes and, with Taylor Swift, and it's like goes crazy. Now, if some people find yes but easier, some people find yes and easier. Yes but to me is sometimes easier because you can just keep saying the same thing over and over again, right? Like, let's go to prime rib. Yeah, but I don't want to go to prime rib. But, we can get, I know the chef, he can make a special meal. Yeah, but I don't want to go to prime rib. Oh, but he'll let us eat for free. Yeah, but I don't want to go to prime rib. Like, I don't need to even think. If you found yes and hard, part of the reason for that is different. Part of the reason is that sometimes we don't know what to say after the and. Right? We can agree, but how do we say and? You're kind of like, I don't know what else to say. Now that is a big topic about creativity, which is more in depth than I have time to get into today. If I could draw your attention back to those cards I put out, I'm going to collect those in about 5 or 10 minutes. If you haven't had a chance to write a sentence, I'd appreciate it if you could. If you want more information on creativity, if you give me your email address on the other side of the card, I'll email you a link to an MP3 I did. It's like a 1-hour program on how to access and develop your creativity. So you can download that if you want. But I'm going to collect those cards in about 5 or 10 minutes. So the difference in yes and yes but should be pretty obvious, right? Yes but is a negative, it's collaborative, it's a fight, nothing happens. Yes and is collaborative, feels good, moves forward. Now I need to pause for a minute and address my realist friends in the room. Because right now some of you are sitting there thinking, well, that's great for improv comedy, Avish. But in the real world, you can't say yes and everything. Sometimes you disagree. And you're right. So I'm not suggesting that if like the office slacker comes to you and is like, hey, I haven't worked on this project. Can you do it for me? That you say yes and let me pick up your dry cleaning. Right? It's not. And to the gentleman in the room, as a man who's recently gotten married, if your wife comes to you and says, does this make me look fat? Yes, and old. Like, no, it's not. It's not a literal technique. You're on your own if you go that way. What it is a mentality. It's an open-minded, forward-moving mentality. And we're talking about ding moments and default responses. And for so many of us, the default response to something new, uncomfortable, different, is to say yes, but. Yes, but that's not what I was thinking. All I'm suggesting is if we change our default mindset from yes, but to yes, and, it can have tremendous benefits. Number one, yes, and builds relationships. Right? Some of you may have felt annoyed playing yes, but. Like, you feel like you're pushing and pulling so much with your partner, you start to feel irritated. Now, that is planning a fake surprise birthday party for a friend who doesn't exist. And yet, you can still feel the negativity around just being yes, butted back and forth. If we want to maintain relationships, we say yes, and. Now, here's the thing. The fear is that you're going to give away the store. Like, I'm going to agree to things. You can use yes, and to do that, to agree and build. You can also use yes, and to explore. Instead of shutting something down with a yes, but, it's yes, and tell me more about that. Yes, and why do you think that's a good idea? By exploring, what you're doing is preserving the relationship. Because when someone comes to you with a suggestion or a problem or an issue, the first thing they want is for you to do what they say. If you can't, the next thing they want is to feel like you listened to them and respected them. When you start with a yes, but, it shows disrespect. And you know this. If you think about the worst customer service experiences you've had in your life, it's someone saying yes, but to you. Usually before you can even finish your sentence. Yes, but you don't have your receipt. Yes, but it's more than 30 days. Yes, but that's not our company policy. Right? Yes, but that's not my job. We hate hearing that. If you, on the flip side, if you think the best customer service experiences, they have a yes and behind it. Yes, and let me see what I can do for you. Yes, and here's 3 options. Yes, and let me connect you with the right person. It's a huge difference. Now, the other thing is if you explore, sometimes you need to explore because the issue they come with may not be the real issue. Right? Sometimes there may be something else going on. Another, like we know this in sales. Someone comes to you with a sales objection. This is not the real objection. It's often sometimes deeper. And it's often sometimes they don't even know. But when you say yes, but, you keep the focus on that objection. When you have a default yes and mindset and explore, you may uncover the real issue. But you can waste a lot of time and energy fighting about something that's not important. Finally, if you find out that, hey, you know what? There's nothing deeper. This is the issue and I don't agree with it. You can still go back to yes, but. But if you go and have a 2-minute yes and conversation and say, you know what, we talked about it, but I'd really rather not go to the prime rib, and here's why. The difference in the response from the other person, it's not an argument anymore. Now it's a dialogue. So if you're willing to change the default to explore with a yes and, it completely changes the relationship. So start catching the yes buts in your own mind. How often do you see it in the world? How often do you hear it by default? For innovation, the idea of yes and versus yes but is critical because of the comfort zone. Yes but keeps us in the comfort zone. We say yes, I like that, but I'm going to stay right in here where I'm comfortable. When we say yes and, what we say is yes, I'm going to take a step, and I'm going to take a step out of my comfort zone. Now that's important because almost by definition, any innovation is going to require getting out of your comfort zone. Because if it's in your comfort zone, you'd already be doing it. So in order to progress, do something new, differentiate ourselves in a new way, we need to get out of that comfort zone. But yes, but is the most destructive thing because it keeps us stuck where we are. Now, if everything is 100% okay in your business and your life, you don't need any yes ands. But if you need to grow, if you need to move forward, now here's the key. You have to say yes and in at least an exploratory way to ideas that are impossible or ridiculous or stupid. It's easy to say yes and to a pretty good idea. But the best innovations, the best thing comes when someone says, that's impossible. Yes and let's see how we can do that. Right? I mean, look at all the stuff that exists now in the world because someone didn't accept, yeah, but we can't do that. But it takes step by step by step with the improviser's mindset to start uncovering those innovations that change everything. Now this is really hard though because yes, but is such a default mindset for us. And I know this because I almost yes butted myself out of any success in the speaking business. I've had this business for about 10 years now, but I started about as dumb as you can. Right? I had no clients, no prospects, no leads, not a lot of money saved up, no real experience, and not much of a clue of how to build a speaking business. But I was at one of those weird crossroads where you got to do something, so I said, okay, I want to be a speaker, let me do this. So it was obviously a struggle in the beginning. And then I came across an organization called the National Speakers Association, which is a group of people like me trying to build speaking businesses. And some of them were very successful. Awesome group, great education, and I liked everyone I met. Except for one person. You know how there's that one person, you can walk into a room and you don't even have to talk to them. Just from where they're standing across the room, you can say, I'm not going to like you. Well, I had my target right away. It was a short, red-headed woman. And just from the way she stood, I'm like, I need to stay away from her. Well, unfortunately, one day I had to ask her a question about the chapter. So I walk up to her and I very politely say, excuse me, Kristen. Now this is a problem because her name was not Kristen. It was Kirsten. I'm like, oh, come on. You know, I was close. It's not like I walked up to her and said, excuse me, Cookie. Right? But this look of death I got from her, I'm like, and you think I'd have more sympathy, right? You may not have noticed. I don't have the most common first name in the world. It's Avish. But I get all sorts of variations. I get Avish, Avish. One time someone called me VJ. You're not even trying. But so you think I have sympathy? I'm like, I don't care, whatever. Kirsten, Kristen, Cookie, Kafka. I don't care. Just reaffirmed I wanted nothing to do with her. Well, then I was asked to join chapter leadership, which meant going on a 2-day planning retreat. Well, guess who comes walking in the door on the morning of day 1? Little Miss Cookie. I'm like, come on, I don't want to spend 2 seconds with this person. I'm going to spend 2 full days. Well, something interesting happened on day 1. She dropped a piece of business advice that made me say, you know what? That could really help my business. And this time my business needed help. But I needed more information, which means I had to talk to her. Again. And immediately the yes buts began in my head. Yeah, but you don't like her. Yeah, but what if she helps you and then you owe her? Yes, but what if she bites me? Which seems like an odd sort of fear to have, but to me, she kind of reminded me of like a little yappy dog at that time. You know, little body, big voice, lots of attitude. But I realized I'm saying a lot of buts. Can I switch to yes and? Can I walk my talk? So I said, yes, and this can help your business. Yes, and when this helps your business, you're not going to care what the source of the advice was. Yes, and if she bites you, you can make your money by suing her. So I walk up and I very politely say, excuse me, Kirsten, and I ask my question. And her response is polite, friendly, and helpful. So I ask a follow-up question, and again, it's very nice. This leads to us having a conversation, leads to us talking all retreat long. So much so that we exchange cards and say, let's keep the conversation going. And we get together a week later for lunch, and lunch is normally like an hour. We sat at this coffee shop for like 5 hours, just chatting, getting to know. We had a lot in common. Now, before you get ahead of me, I know where some of you think this is going. Like, ooh, this is very romantic. He mentioned getting married before. Sorry, I hate to burst your bubble. Nothing romantic happened. We didn't start dating. We didn't get married. We don't have a litter of little yappy dogs running around our feet. However, she did become a very good friend of mine. More relevant to you as a professional audience. The first year I started to get over that hump and actually see success in the speaking business, I could attribute 50 to 75% of my business somehow back to her. A bit of she was a real good marketing person. Advice she gave me that I implemented that started to work. She passed on leads and referrals that went on to hire me. We even did a 6-month consulting contract together, working with a group on their creativity and communication, working together. I honestly don't know if I would have gotten over that hump if I'd still be in business today, if in those early years it wasn't for her help and assistance and mentorship. And it's all because in that one moment I was able to stop saying yes but and say yes and take a step forward. Now I got lucky. I had multiple opportunities to interact with Kirsten, and I kept saying yes but until finally I got another opportunity to say yes and. But so often in our own lives, a moment comes along, if we say yes but, it's gone. Either someone else takes it or it just disappears. So my question to you is, what might you be saying yes but to? Who are you saying yes but to? What opportunities might be passing you by? What innovations might be passing you by? Because you're so committed to staying in that comfort zone in the area where you know with a yes but. And how might things change if periodically you could just step out a little bit with an open mind and say yes and be willing to step into that uncertainty and see where it takes you. If you do nothing else but start paying attention to those moments and just start taking a few steps, I promise you'll start seeing some very interesting things happen. So those are 2 main ideas I want to cover with you in the short time we had together today. Adopting the improviser's mindset and saying yes and. I'm going to finish up here in just a moment. What I'd like to do now is collect those cards. So if you can maybe pass them to one person at your table, and then I'll come around and grab them. If you have any questions about anything I've done today, I'm going to pause at the end for a few questions. I'll be around. I'll also be around afterwards if you want to talk privately about anything. Thank you very much. Are there any questions before I kind of finish up here? Before I wrap up? Any questions at all? Happy to answer anything.
Yes, and.
Yes, and. Yeah, no yes, but. Oh. Thank you. And let me grab. Oh, sorry. Also, as I mentioned, I have a few books over there. If anyone wants to take a look, I want to buy one, I'll be over there. All right. So to sum up, ding happens. What ultimately is going to determine your success, or your greater success, because I know there's a room of very successful people, so I'm not in here with like college students, but to take yourself to the next level, as I heard someone say earlier, we can plan, but ultimately, it's about how we react to those ding moments when they occur. When they do, remember the improviser's mindset. Have fun, be willing to fail, focus on what you can control. That's what's going to let you respond quickly and effectively and take that next step forward. And secondly, start saying more yes and. Catch yourself with the yes buts, because that's the key to increasing innovation, improving relationships, service, sales. It's such a simple idea, but it makes such a huge difference. So I'm going to finish up now with one final improv exercise. This is the point in a typical inspirational speaker's or motivational speaker's speech where they have an inspirational story about the time I climbed Mount Everest while I was blind with a one-legged dog tied to my back, and I had to build an igloo and determine the power of perseverance and all this stuff. I've never done that. I don't have anything that interesting. I don't have a story quite like that motivational. So I figure, though, however, as the world's only motivational improviser, I should improvise a final story for you to send you under, a final motivational message for you. I don't need a volunteer for this exercise because these cards will be my volunteer. I'll begin telling you my speech and story. Periodically, I'll pull out a card and read whatever line is written on there, and then have to incorporate that somehow into my presentation. And right now, some of you are sitting there thinking, what did I write on my card? So that's all there is to it. I want to get a title for this speech. Every speaker kind of has their message, their system. So from this side of the room, can I get some kind of hobby, activity, something maybe a little more unusual? So not like running or sleeping, but like what is something strange that some people really like to do? Kite surfing. All right, kite surfing will be the activity. And from this side of the room, can I get some kind of descriptive word, an adjective or adverb you would never associate with kite surfing?
Running with the bulls.
Running with the bulls. That is an interesting adjective or descriptive word. Well, let's make that bullish kite surfing. We'll do. So I'm going to give you a motivational speech about the power of bullish kite surfing. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me here. I'm here to share with you the power of something unusual. It is bullish kite surfing. I learned this lesson when I first went to vacation, and I was taking lessons on kite surfing. And my instructor said to me, work hard and have fun doing it. Which is weird because I was on vacation, and he started making me feel guilty. And I said, look, buddy, you can't talk to me about work when I'm on vacation. He said, no, you misunderstand me. What the meaning of that sentence is, be kind, for everyone you meet is waging a great struggle. So now he's insulting me for being mean to him. So I said, look, buddy, I don't need you. So I fired him, and I said, I'm going to go teach myself how to kite surf. So I just took the kite surfboard out there, and it got really choppy, and I didn't know what I was doing. The first thing I thought to myself was, shit happens, then you die. Now, frankly, I was so scared that the first part felt like it was about to happen. So I had this moment of thought. I said, I'm just going to grab this kite as strongly as I can. I gripped it so hard that all of a sudden it straightened out. So much so that there was this woman surfing next to me, and she looked over and she yelled at me, peace and love. And I thought, oh, well, this is a strange way to pick someone up, but sure, I like kite surfing. So I actually grabbed the kite surfing as hard as I could and pulled it over to her. And I pulled my board right next to hers. And I looked at her and I said, I can't wait for summer so I can go boating on the Chesapeake Bay. And she said, well, okay, we're in Jamaica. It's nice you're fond of Chesapeake. But she said the amazing thing about that is I always wanted to go boating. And she said, I will teach you how to kite surf if you teach me how to boat. And this sounded such a great deal to me that I said to her, for I know the places I for you, song sings the Lord, plus the pressure you would set to have you, plus to give you. I can't read that. Let's try it, everyone. She said to me, it is what it is. And so what happened is we went into shore and we just started talking. And she said, how did you kite surf if you've never done it before? And I said, well, I was bullish. I just grabbed that kite surfboard as hard as I could. And she said to me, I like chocolate and strawberry ice cream, which I thought was a bit of a come-on. So I ordered the room service, and I said, well, I'm going to have strawberry and chocolate ice cream in my room tonight. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll come up there, and we can talk about kite surfing and boating. And I said, you know what? It's never crowded along the extra mile, if you know what I mean. And long story short, I'm now married, I'm a bullish kite surfer, and you can be too. And if I had to give you one bit of advice to send you on your way when you're thinking about bullish kite surfing, it is this. Always do right. This will gratify some people and astonish the rest. So thank you very much. You guys were a fun group. I really appreciate it. Let's get my volunteers ahead. Oh. Thank you very much, Rick. Appreciate it.
Nice talking to you all. I will send you the dash.
Yes, sir. No, it's a fundamental improv idea. You go to pretty much any improv class, they'll teach you that. Yeah, I wish I came up with it. I wrote a book on it, but I wish I came up with the idea. Oh yeah, I'll admit other people in groups do that. I think I do it better, but other people do it as well. But thank you. Thank you for asking.
What was the one important lesson that they shared with you?
Well, the niche marketing idea, which I think Denise, was it? Mentioned a little bit, know your market. And I was new, I didn't know, so I was trying to market to everyone all the time. So it kind of ties into the message you heard earlier was she got me really focused, oddly enough, on healthcare at that time, but got me work because I had a lot of experience with family. So that kind of started the business really going. So that was kind of the bit of advice. She gave me other advice as well, but that was kind of the one key one, was really have a very target-focused market.
Great job for this. Also, before everybody leaves, I want to make a quick announcement. Jackie took a job that she just couldn't refuse, one of those deals, but we're fortunate enough we have Leslie, former executive at McCormick, who has graciously accepted our invitation to be our coordinator. So welcome everybody, Leslie. Thank you, Avish. That was one of the best and most entertaining talks we've had for a long time.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you all.